Welcome to Chalk Talk, Danville Public Schools weekly news magazine. I'm Diane Locker, your host. We're going to be spending this week at Forest Hills Elementary, and we're here because of an award they received. And I have with me the people that are going to be the best to explain about this award. I have Catherine Lassiter here, the principal of the school, and Sarah Moss, who is our Title I instructor. I call you a teacher, right? Mm-hmm. Title I teacher. What we're going to do is be talking about an award they got. They got the Distinguished Title I School. Now, Catherine, help me. Distinguished Title I School. I can tell by the title that means you've done something right. But help me explain to the community what that award means.
What that means is that when the state has broken down all the subgroups within our school, and when I say subgroups, I mean boys, I mean girls, I mean ethnicities, whether a child might get free or reduced lunch, all the special ed, all these different categories that are in a school. When you break all those down, Forest Hills has achieved a certain level of achievement in all of those subgroups.
You say a certain level. Let's just say a nice high level to get this award. One thing you said, and this is probably my confusion, you said the state. I was under the impression that Title I was a federal program.
It is. This recognition comes from the state, but Title I is a federal program, and Title I money is based upon need in a school as far as the free and reduced lunch goes. However, once that money is acquired from the state, then it is used not for children who have financial need, but for children who might have academic need. So it's extra money from the federal government that you apply for if your community has financial need among the student body. However, once you get it, it addresses the academic needs that children have.
And essentially, we could say that this award has been given to your school because of the work that you've done with those identified students, the academic work that you've done.
Yes.
Okay.
The academic achievement of those students.
Now, Sarah, you are the designated Title I teacher here at Forest Hills. Yes. You have, back in the day, and I can say that because I've been around for a while, we would have a Title I program and it would be a strictly pull-out type of thing. I think it's changed over the years in the way that the services are delivered. Help me understand how you reach the children here and who are you trying to reach here at Forest Hills?
Okay, well, the Targeted Assistance Program at Forest Hills, we choose our students by academic need. And so we may look at testing, we may look at grades, just talking with the classroom teachers, and then from there I establish a role of students that need help academically. And then how they receive those services, really we meet as a school, as a whole team, we decide what's going to work best for us. I collaborate very closely with the teachers. We try to make sure that students are receiving what they need in addition to what they would get in the classroom already. So they're not missing instruction.
I think that point right there is key for a lot of us who over the years have watched these types of programs. Students used to receive assistance from someone like yourself, but they might miss something in the classroom, and you're doing something a little unique here so that that doesn't happen. And how do you do that?
We are. In looking at the growth of students last year, we found that, and then in looking at my schedule, the students that were taken out of the classes the least amount made the most progress. So this year we decided we would do that everywhere that we possibly could. So I receive the master schedules from all of the teachers, and then we sit down and talk about where would be a good place. So a lot of times, if I do need to come in and take a student out for some specialized instruction, I'll try and do that during a transition time when they're changing classes, so they may miss, 5 minutes at the end of this class and a few minutes at the beginning of this class and their bathroom break, and then I'll take them on the way back. Or during a snack time, or occasionally it will be during a self-selected or a silent reading time. But a lot of times that's what we're doing, and they really need that one-on-one during that time anyway. So trying to have the least amount of effect on the classroom instruction.
Do you ever go into the classroom and work with the students in the classroom?
I can. A lot of times, because of the way we've done the schedule, it doesn't really work because the class is not actually having class. But last year I did more of that to make sure that the students were getting what they need from the classroom teacher too. But I find that what worked best was they're getting reading from their teacher and then an additional reading from me.
In the areas that they need extra help?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. She mentioned something I think is very key about what's going on here at Forest Hills, and that she mentioned the teamwork. Tell me a little bit about how you structure things. When she talks about teamwork, what is she talking about? How do the teachers all work together?
We work together here on a lot of different levels. First of all, when we schedule, we make sure that teachers on one grade level always have the same plan time. That way, if Ms. Moss or if I or if my special ed teacher or whomever needs to talk to all the teachers who work with a child, they know there's a time in the day when they can do that. So there's a lot of planning, mutual planning, cooperative planning that takes place. In addition, we try to have leadership meetings once a month in which the entire faculty sits down with me, everybody sits down, and we say, here's some issues we need to find a way to address. There's a lot of input from the faculty, and being a small school, we can do that. In the larger schools, their leadership team is usually representatives from each grade level, but here it can be everyone.
Don't you think, in the case of Ms. Moss here, that special area teachers, and I'm talking music, PE, Title I, if you don't have that teamwork that we've been talking about, you can feel isolated. You can feel not part of everything that's going on, maybe doing your own little thing, and that kind of teamwork keeps everybody pulling towards the same goal.
And I think it's really important that students know that in the school, in the house, that the rules and the expectations of excellence are everywhere. And I think if every teacher is not involved in the decisions on how those expectations will appear, for example, if you go out in the hall, you will see most of my children walking down the hall with their hands behind their back, because that eliminates pushing and tickling and silliness.
Oh, that's not. They would never do that.
Oh, no. But we also tell them, and this was not my idea. This came from one of my principal colleagues who was doing this years ago with the hands behind the back. And that was Miss Fitzgerald. I've got to put her name in here because she gave me this idea. She said to her children, and I say to mine, great thinkers walk with their hands behind their back, and they think as they walk, just to tell them why we're doing it. But everyone knows that, the children know that, and every adult in the building is free and encouraged to compliment a child when they're doing something well, or to remind a child if they need to be reminded about a different way to conduct themselves.
Don't you think that if you didn't have this collaboration between all of the teachers and all of this teamwork, don't you think the students would pick up on that too? I mean, I'm sure they look at Ms. Moss the same as they look at their classroom teacher, and you've got to have that. You've got to have that for discipline, and you've got to have that for learning.
They do. They're bright. They see the cracks in our armor, and they will scoot through in a moment if they can. But I think it gives children a real sense of security to know what the expectations are. Our homework expectations are the same everywhere, our behavior expectations, our expectations of kindness. At Forest Hills, when a child finds a quarter on the floor, or somebody's dropped a bracelet, or somebody's hat is on the floor, they bring it to the office, and my secretary makes sure that she gets their name. And even if it's a very tiny item, I say something over the intercom at the end of the day, and I say, this person turned something in, it's here if you want it, everyone give them a thumbs up because, you know, they're a Forest Hills Bear and they did the right thing. Those kinds of expectations are everywhere in the building, and I do think it makes a big difference, and it makes a child secure. They know what the expectation
They know
is.
what the parameters are. But also what you're talking about basically is the climate and culture of your school.
Exactly.
And how all your teachers are involved in that, and all of your students are involved in that.
A big example of one of the ways that we're using our Title I funds, and that shared decision-making has had a huge impact on the academics of our student, is something we do after school, which is called our homework club. And what we did is, as an academic leadership team, we were sitting and talking about the issues that were really having a negative impact, and getting homework done is a big deal, because if you look at it from a child's perspective, if they're coming in day after day without homework, the first thing that happens at the beginning of the day is the teacher says, put your homework in the basket. Who doesn't have their homework?
And that's the wrong way to start their day.
Oh my goodness, it is. And then when we looked at it closer, we realized that sometimes, through no fault of their own, a child was not able to get their homework done. We have a lot of parents in our building who are hardworking and working multiple jobs and are having to count on maybe their older children who are in high school, making sure that the children are taken care of until they get home later in the evening and that kind of thing. Plus, some of our students who have some academic gaps that we try to close through our Title I instruction. They can't do the homework. And the other thing is that we've had no doubt that the children were bright enough to get it done, but they needed some help. So as a faculty, we said, let's just take on part of that responsibility for some of our children.
How do you know who would need homework help after school, though? I mean, who ends up, I imagine it's not the whole school, is it?
It's not. We have two different programs after school. We have our Title I homework club, and then we have a remediation program. The Title I homework club, the children who are invited to attend that are the children who are identified for the Title I program.
But what happens with transportation? Because I'm assuming this is after school, after the buses and everything have been here. What happens how do they get home?
We are lucky enough through Title I to have enough funding to be able to pay for 2 buses. So we try to eliminate all the reasons that a child may not be able to attend. And what we found right away, because we started this last year in our second semester, the frustration the teachers were feeling was huge, and we said, how are we going to solve this? It's a problem for the kids, it's a problem for the teachers. When we started homework club, and they stay for an hour, they get their homework done. There is one of the teachers will be with them, and they only have 5 or 6 children with her. They sit in the room. We're teaching them not only how good it feels to walk in with your homework done, but we're there to assist them with questions. We're there to keep them on task. But the ideal thing is to ultimately, with our 5th graders, have them doing their homework with a friend, helping each other, because we don't want to turn our 5th graders loose dependent on someone helping them with their homework every minute. We really had to think it through.
But you also help that child to do that homework that maybe the reason is not a fault of their own that the homework wasn't getting done.
Right. The thing that we saw happen was children walking in the morning smiling more than they were dreading that first few moments of school. They started participating in class, asking questions, raising their hand to give answers. A child will fill their day with activity. If they don't have their homework, a lot of the time that they fill is with mischief and talking to a friend. All that went away
But look at yourself as an adult in anything that you're doing. Myself, I don't like to go and tape a show if I don't feel like I'm prepared to go and tape that show. It makes you make mistakes, feel insecure. All of us have had things to do in college, and we go into class and we just weren't clicking because we weren't prepared. So this is exactly what you're talking about, but we're talking about young children.
Right. I think we were even surprised at the impact, right, Ms. Moss? I mean, we were meeting as a faculty going, oh my gosh, you know, because it was within that first week we were seeing such a difference in the way the children were feeling about their work and everything.
But also you turn school into a positive place by doing those types of things. Coming to school as a young child in a negative, I don't have my work, I'm going to be embarrassed, is a very negative thing.
And one of the things that we've discovered working with the children, and I know Ms. Moss has this happen kind of automatically, she has such a relationship with her children because she has them in a small group. When a teacher has 24 children in a class, she works very hard to establish that relationship, but it's much more difficult. With our homework club, last year we set it up and just kind of divided the children and said, go do your homework. What we learned last year is they need to be with the same teacher every time, which we did this year. And again, there's a relationship that develops.
But you're also bringing security to a child that's probably insecure if they weren't bringing their homework and everything in, and having that same teacher, that same format. Children love a routine. They're probably more rigid than we are.
They do. The other thing we learned last year was that we do have to make sure our parents understand that we're not taking that responsibility from them. So this year what we added to the program was a conversation with our parents saying, we will be doing homework club every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Monday they may have homework. We expect them to come in with their homework finished. They may not finish all their homework. They still will have an accelerated reader book they need to read at home. So our expectation of our parents is we are happy and we want to do homework club, but we still need for you to participate in the homework cycle. Talk to your children about their homework. Make sure they understand it. Be in touch with the teacher if there are any questions. We learned last year that we can't enable folks to think that that's no longer their responsibility, because it still is.
Or cut them out of the process.
Right, exactly.
Both of those are important.
Exactly.
One of the things that's always been part of a Title I program has been parental involvement. That's one of the things that they emphasize. And your homework program and the way that you work with parents is one way of having that parental involvement. What other things are going on here that bring the parents in?
Well, we have at least 4 events during the year that we invite Title I parents to. We have several meetings, including one in the beginning of the year where we explain the program and get parent input and feedback. We send surveys to communicate with parents. And this all goes to the parents of the students that are identified as Title I.
When we talk about identified students, about how many students are you working with?
I currently have 30 students right now. That's a good number for me to work with. That's technically would be K through 5. I don't have any kindergarten students on my roll right now. So that's throughout the school. That number can change based on need. Each 9 weeks I take a look at how the students are performing. I talk with the teachers and we decide, does someone need to come into the program? And sometimes we decide, does someone need to come out? So
I was going to say, I might start off at the beginning of the year needing your help in something. But there's that possibility I'm not going to stay with you all year because you are there to help me in areas that I am not quite proficient in. So you can move them in and out during the year.
Yes, that's the goal, to get them to a place where they don't need help anymore. What we do is once students reach that point where they're being successful in the class and the grades show it and the tests show it, and we do see that. I have some 5th graders that were in the program last year that we really felt didn't need it anymore. By the end of the year, they were reading on grade level. So this year, they're out of the program. But I check in So they're not, they're officially out of the program, but I check in, I make sure they're getting their AR points, are they doing their homework?
They also
talk to
feel
teachers.
they're not forgotten.
Right, and I make sure, I talk to them in the hall, I say, oh, I saw you got your AR points, So at any time, if those children need to come back, I'm there. But the goal is for them not to need me. So I check in every 9 weeks and make sure they're still where they need to be. So until they leave this building, they may come out of Title I, but they're not getting out of my grasp.
One of the things in everything that we've been talking about here is what you do in the school among the teachers, what you do for the parents, what you do for the students. And I used the term a little bit earlier about the climate of your school, the culture of your school. What I'd like to do is we're going to take a break. And when we come back from the break, I'd like to get out in the school and have you guys show me a little bit of Forest Hills. Right. What's going on here? I saw a tree in the lobby, and somebody needs to explain to me why we still have a Christmas tree up, but we'll do that in the second half of the show.
All right, I want to just put one more thing in here. When Ms. Moss said that she doesn't have any kindergarten students on her roll, under the targeted assistance, we're required to put our focus on our fifth, our fourth, our third, our second, in that way. It's different than a full school program because we are required under the guidelines of being a targeted assistance school to address the needs of those children who are leaving us the soonest. And so she's required to give a little more time to fifth, a little bit less time to fourth, so that she really runs out of time before she gets to kindergarten and first.
But what you're also doing is making sure that you've got it set up so you can catch them before it's too late.
So to help with the fact that she doesn't have the ability to get to every child, because she does have 30 on her list, but that doesn't mean there are only 30 children who would normally qualify under Title I. We have a reading intervention specialist who is not a Title I paid person, but addresses the needs of those younger children, because we know if we don't catch them young, we're going to have a problem. So I didn't want it to seem like we were blessed with children in kindergarten and first and second who were academically all on grade level. That's not the case. But for her program, she has to start at fifth and then look at fourth and third and set up her schedule that way.
That way you meet the needs of the students.
Right.
Let's take a short break right now. Come back. When we come back from the break, we're going to be out in the school looking around, and we're going to take a look at that tree that's still up and find out why it's still up. So you be sure to come back after the break. We went way up.
Hello, my name is J.D. Edmonds, and this is my wife,
Janine Edmonds.
I am the Barna Booster President, and I'm encouraging all you parents to get involved with your child's education, get involved with the community, and show your support for your kids' school.
Continue to be that bridge between the community, school, and family.
Hello everyone, my name is Alexandra Reddy and I'm the Beta Club president here at Galileo Magnet High School. Let me tell you about Beta Club. Beta Club is a national academic club that focuses on community service. And in fact, our motto is let us lead by serving others. So every month, the Beta Club here at Galileo completes a service project for our community and also for our school. And then in February, we travel to the state convention where we compete with other schools in the areas of English, science, social studies, talent competitions, and it's a really awesome experience. But I also have the honor of being the Virginia State Beta Club president, an election that I won back in February at the convention. So this means that I have to travel to at least 2 other state conventions this year. There's North Carolina, South Carolina, all across the country that I am able to travel to. So I'm very blessed to be the state president, and I'm excited for what the year holds and making Galileo proud and making Virginia Beta proud.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I have been talking with Catherine Lasser and Sarah Moss, the Title I teacher here, and Catherine, of course, is the principal. Got my timing off a little bit today. We're having a break, and after the break, we're closing the show. So what I want to do is, I just cannot leave Forest Hills without talking about this Christmas tree back here. You know, it's almost Valentine's Day, and the Christmas tree is still up. Tell us a little bit about this tree. I think it stays here all year, doesn't it?
It stays here all year, and it is not a Christmas tree. It is a giving tree. This tree is up all year to give our children an opportunity to bring in food for the Humane Society, Salvation Army, God's Storehouse. They choose who they want to collect food for.
Now, we have food under the tree right now. You can't see it because we're standing here, but this goes directly to what we said a little bit earlier when we were talking about the climate and culture of the school. I think something like this is so important and is one of the reasons that I wanted to be able to close the show, but also show this wonderful tree. I have been here when you were doing it for the Humane Society, and it was wonderful. For pets and things like that. I mean, this is a huge lesson in giving and sharing.
And I think the huge lesson here is the fact that this was the children's idea. And when you come back, I'll tell you that whole story because it always makes me cry. But basically, one of my kindergartners said we needed to do this, and that was like 10 years ago.
What is it from the mouth of babes, the wisdom that comes from the mouth of
Indeed,
babes? And that
indeed.
was definitely it. And I have heard you tell that story before. And I'm not going to let you do it now because I'm not going to end the show with you crying. I want to thank everyone for tuning in this week. We are so proud of what's been done here at Forest Hills and being a Title I distinguished school. And thank you, Sarah, for the work that you do. And thank you for the way that you have structured this school and the great things that are going on. Be sure to come back next week because we're going to have some more information for you on what's going on in Danville Public Schools.